Okay, still talking about cool money, Mr. Ukuku. I'm sure you listened to Mr. Nwobu's thoughts. Now, Nigeria is an emerging market, and we're also import dependent. Looking at encouraging more foreign direct investment, not foreign portfolio investments now into Nigeria, is the policy, the way the policy is, and the way Mr. Emefiele actually wants to unravel, make sure that the policy measures are actually put in place the way he wants to see how the economy will grow, will it encourage more foreign direct investment? Well, Mr. Ukuku, if you can hear me, what I asked you is that, based on what Mr. Nwobu has actually said, and we're looking at the fact that Nigeria is an emerging market and we're also import dependent, we do not want to attract foreign portfolio investment, but foreign direct investment. So do we have the way Mr. Emefiele has actually set out his agenda as regards to monetary policy, are we going to see more encouragement in terms of investment, more foreign direct investment coming into the country?
Please call back.
Well, we seem to be having issues connecting with him there, but Mr. Nwobu, you can comment on that if you
Yes. That brings us back to the core function of central bank, because it has to do with interest rate differential, inflation rate differential. Basically, interest rates, inflation, exchange rates, they are all correlated. And like I just said, whenever the exchange rate is stable and favorable, investors are prone to come in, be they FPI or FDI, even though, like I say, we desire more of FDI right now. So he has to play around, interest rate differential to make sure that it is quite attractive, for FDIs. And then you see, when you talked about reducing interest rates, which is good for banks, to lend more. But I also tell you that one of the reasons FPIs have been in this country, we need them, but not to an excessive, level, is because of that high interest rate, treasury bill rates. If you reduce it, there's likely going to be a reduction of FPI, particularly.
Because now, he actually said so, that it was actually going to be a reduction in treasury bill rates.
Yeah, if it does that, well, I'm trying to tell you what the effects will be. Yeah, you're going to see maybe a reduction of FPI, foreign portfolio investors. Now it's going to create a good effect in the sense that banks will lend more. There will be more access to credit. But again, like I said, the spin-off effect, that's why I said it's like a balance. You have to at all times, balance so that you don't cross certain threshold. Balance in regulation, not over-regulation and not under-regulation. You have to keep your eyes on the ball at all times, Yes.
So now, in keeping our eye on the ball at all times and looking at the effects, we're expecting to see, at least in the short to medium term, how should investors proceed in terms of investing in key sectors, for instance, now?
Investors, when you say investors now...
Both domestic and international.
Well, right now, T-bills look good for domestic investors. Certainly, it makes sense. Because there's no how you leave what the rates are right now to begin to gravitate to the capital market. But if there's a drop, based on comparative analysis, whichever, there may be an influx, some more into the capital market. Yes.
Well, hopefully we'll be joined, is Mr. Ukuku is there. Can you still hear me now? Okay, Mr. Ukuku, thank you so much for sticking around. We seem to be having a little bit of technical issues. Now, based on what Mr. Emefiele has said and, the conversation I've had with Mr. Nwobu in the last couple of minutes, what are your thoughts? Looking at where we are in the short to medium term, definitely there needs to be proactive measures to ensure that we begin to see investment growth begin to see investment growing, at least in the country, before the elections, when he actually says that after the elections there will be a gradual reduction in interest rates. So in the short to medium term, What is a workable solution for all parties? Well, we seem to be having an issue there, so we just might have to let Mr. Ukuku go and Mr. Nwobu, let's just finish the conversation. Now, in the short to medium term, you've talked about what possibly can happen, but it is going to be a rather tricky one, especially since we have an unemployment rate at where we have it right now, almost 30%, if not over 30%. Yes. So we need to begin to see some sort of growth, some sort of investment, and investment into those sectors that matter.
Yes. You see, I want us to take notice of the fact that even with the prevailing situation, there was an increase in the net domestic credit. Yes, and that the skew towards the private sector, even though I don't have the breakdown of the very specific areas. Now, what am I trying to say? If we got that result with this prevailing situation, it will be better when the interest rate is also reduced. Certainly, there is no doubt about that. But I am saying that reducing interest rates should not be all there is to it in trying to generate employment. This is where the governor really has to work hand in hand with the federal government. And I suggest the pump priming mechanism that was propounded by Keynes, the Keynesian model. The government should know that basically it has the mandate to also work towards employment generation for the populace is a primary duty of the federal government. And they can begin to look at various options and models that could synergize with whatever CBN is coming up with. They can begin to look at cutting tax rates. We can begin to look at government buying services, and then pumping more money in the system. But then you have to be careful, because in that pump priming mechanism, if you're not cautious, you could cross the bar. You wouldn't know when you are affected, with inflation. So it's all about strategic agility, which just means to be proactive, to be sensitive, to events around you. So when the CBN governor talked about creating employment, I like his zeal. But he should not stray too far from his primary function, because the government is also there. So government should explore these options. There's nothing wrong in cutting tax rates, of certain class of people, and then buying services. When you buy service, maybe road construction, schools, and all whatnot, you pump money into the system, and then generate employment for people, though it may be for certain people in certain sectors. If you're building road, that is more job for construction workers. If it's in aviation, if it's in whatever sector, you generate sector jobs.
It's still sector-specific projects, just like he already said.
That's right. So it's got to be a combination strategy. Fiscal policy must go hand in hand with monetary policy. They are sister strategies. That's right.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nwobu, for sharing your thoughts with us this morning on the program. And of course, we seem to have lost Ogbonna there, but also thank you so much, Mr. Ogbonna Ukuku, for also joining us. I've been speaking with two gentlemen on driving investment growth through monetary policies, and I've been speaking with Ogbonna Ukuku, who is the country representative, International Institute for Investment Promotion. He joined us from Abuja, but we seem to have technical issues, and so we had to let him go. But I finished the conversation with the financial market analyst and a stockbroker, with a chartered stockbroker, I beg your pardon, Mr. Arinze Nwobu. And that's the program for today. Thank you so much for being a part of it. I'm Harriet Admini. Bye.